This video is going to be my reaction to the Browns' 33-31 win over the Ravens in Baltimore in Week 10. It's going to be a difficult one to listen to because I don't believe this game was decided by the final game-winning kick by the Browns in terms of who won. And when I say who won, I mean who was dominating and controlling the gameplay. For me, from the second quarter on, I thought the Browns controlled the gameplay. Now, you'll say we had a 14-point lead twice. We had the ball with a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter. On the scoreboard, the Browns didn't win until the final kick. Yes, that is true. And as a Ravens fan, you're sitting there watching him line the kick up with 7 seconds left, and you're hoping that he misses. I did not think we deserved to win that football game today. I thought the Browns were the better team on the field today. We can say all we want about injuries playing a role. Ronnie Stanley goes down, Marlon Humphrey, who knows how long those guys are out. It was an element on both sides, both sidelines. The Browns had multiple guys go down in their defensive secondary. They came in without either of their starting offensive tackles. I thought they were the better team in the last 45 minutes on the field. They just were. I believe I'm going to start publishing my halftime notes. I'll read them out here, but obviously it's possible that people don't believe me. You can feel free to ask the people that are in my Discord. I'm quite sure that they get tired of hearing me be negative and complain about certain things that I see when we leave points on the field. But Deshaun Watson, you have to, if you're trying to evaluate football games and you don't recognize that he was magnificent in the second half and you don't point it out, you're just not being intellectually honest. He shredded us in the third and fourth quarter. This is how the Ravens lose football games in the last 2 years, wasting scoring opportunities when they're ahead. I feel like being a little too arrogant or aggressive with play calls in a certain part of the field. Not being aware game flow wise in terms of what we can't do, pass pro this defensive line in certain situations. And then turning the football over at the worst possible time. You have to give the Browns and Watson credit. Overall, I thought they beat us up physically on both sides of the ball. I understand that as a Ravens fan, you probably don't like hearing it, so if you don't choose to listen, I understand. I really don't like saying it, but I feel like it's the truth. It was pretty easy to see, even at halftime, that they were the more physical team in that second quarter. I hoped that it would change in the third quarter. We got the big 3rd and 6 touchdown to OBJ, which was amazing. Great throw by Lamar, great route by OBJ, a win against man-free. They really bullied us with their man-free coverage a lot today. We did make some plays, big plays like we talked about in the preview. Losing guys during the game hurt us. I think we had a couple D tackles go down. Travis Jones was down at one time. But the Browns defense is for real. If I didn't say that, I would not be evaluating what we saw today. I thought they broke our offense in terms of taking away certain options for us, for Todd Monken, and leaving us only options that were low percentage where they could get stops consistently, which they did. And occasionally, we made big plays. We got an early pick six from Kyle Hamilton, just an amazing play in the first minute. And then with the Browns surging in the third quarter, I believe a long drive that they capped off with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion pulled them to 24-17. Our offense gets stopped. We punt, and James Prochet fumbles it to us. Really ironic that it was him. And it takes us like 10 plays to score from their 12-yard line. I think in terms of the stats, it goes down as a 7-play drive, but there's multiple penalties called on that drive, on that possession. Their defense was better than our offense today. Did we waste scoring opportunities? Yes. Did we overthrow at least one ball that was potentially a touchdown to Zay Flowers? Yes, we did. Did we, for whatever reason, go away from getting the ball to Keaton Mitchell? Of course, we did. I think he only has 3 carries and 1 catch. I think we had really poor play calls from a Ravens perspective from the plus 45 to plus 35 yard line. In that area where we're not in field goal range yet, maybe the 35 we are in terms of, Tucker can make it from there. But Monken, if you ask me, has the same mentality as Harbaugh and the same mentality as Greg Roman, or the play calls in that area are actually being called by Harbaugh. And I know there's a lot of people who say that's not possible. Well, why do we keep acting as if field goals only count if they're made in the last minute of the game? I'm going to let some game stats flow here. This is going to be a lot of commentary. I feel like we consistently make high-risk play calls in that area of the field on 2nd and 8, on 3rd and 8, where another 5, 6, 7 yards can be the difference maker between us punting and attempting a 51, 52-yarder. Or, and this is what even irks me more, between a 52-yard attempt and what could be a 46, 47, or maybe 48-yard attempt with a different play call. I thought we wasted 2 of those opportunities today from a Todd Monken play call standpoint. And then the pressure got to Lamar, and he missed a throw to Zay Flowers. Now, we end up still retaining the ball because there was a penalty on the ensuing play by the Browns to give us a 4th and 2. We went for it, and I think there was another penalty there. The Browns were holding all day. Their DBs were. They absolutely were. But they seem to have the mentality of the old New York Knicks defenses. If we all do it on the same play, they can only call one. I hate that I have to say this, but Lamar missing these deep throws means we're going to see more of these coverages in the future. And he's hit some this year, but he's also missed some. The one to Zay Flowers, I feel like, is an opportunity to talk about, should we be calling that route anyway in that area of the field? Because Lamar's going to throw it to Zay Flowers. He is. There is very clearly a preferential type thing in throwing the ball to Zay Flowers because he trusts him. Zay Flowers make plays. I understand it. I'm not complaining about it. But the reality is if Zay Flowers is on that route, Lamar's going to potentially look for him. And that opens up the possibility that we have to punt instead of attempting a long field goal. We ended up attempting a long field goal anyway 3 plays later. I thought the pressure got to Lamar. It would get to any quarterback. However, if it was that constant, he threw a really bad interception in the second quarter. A minute left. It just can't be justified. I'm a huge Lamar fan, but it's a horrible throw and horrible decision, and that's what happens when you're under pressure, even though on that play, I thought he had a clean throwing platform. But the worst situation from a Lamar standpoint was on the drive, quote-unquote, to take a 31-17 lead. After Prochet has fumbled the football to us, recovered by Devin Duvernay, that drive ends in a short touchdown run by Gus. But, man, the interception Lamar threw on that 3rd and goal from the Browns 10, it's a scramble, unsettled situation, moving out to the right sideline. There's just no excuse for it. That's about as poor a decision as I've seen from a quarterback in any game that I've watched this year. And I watched Jimmy Garoppolo play football 2 weeks ago in Week 8 against the Lions. Throws it into the end zone, easy interception. We're very fortunate to get a hold called on JOK there. I don't think it's possible that Lamar saw the hold and mentally said, okay, I know I can throw this football, even though it's a low % chance, because they're going to call that hold. I would say to you, even if he did, I still couldn't justify that as a Ravens fan and as a Lamar supporter myself, because you can't rely on the refs to make that call in that situation. So maybe he said that in a press conference, maybe somebody asked him, maybe nobody did. I think it's an extremely poor decision, and it's illustrative of pressure breaks pipes. And the Browns defense put extreme pressure on us today, and I thought really broke our options from an offensive standpoint. Thought we were getting beaten up physically on both sides of the ball for real. Sorry, I wasn't letting the stats roll. Getting beaten up on both sides of the ball from the second quarter on. Give the Browns credit for outcoaching us, outplaying us in many instances. In short, like I said, I think they deserve to win. Now, if there's anybody in the Discord that listens during the premiere, feel free to back me up if you want to. I know they get turned off by my negativity at times, but I'm trying to tell you what I think and what I think I see. Unfortunately, today I saw it right. The Browns were beating us up from the second quarter on. This is my first half notes. I called it fool's gold. I said we got an amazing play by Kyle Hamilton in the first minute to get a pick six. Keaton Mitchell busts a draw play from a very familiar formation to put us ahead 14-10, or 14-0, less than 5 minutes into the game. From there, the Browns defense just started rolling, I felt like. I felt like they had a lot of things solved in terms of going against us and recognizing what they can take away. And this is the formula I think the Ravens seem to have patented in the last 2 years. Turnovers, a special teams mistake. We had a block kick. Waste a couple scoring opportunities and then a turnover at the worst time. Ahead 14-0 and 17-3 in the first half, you could very easily say, Coach, I think we were in control the whole way through. Thought we had a really poor possession after being fortunate to get down to the Browns 31, and that's the one I want to talk about a little bit. Their pass rush was overwhelming us in known passing situations, and our play calling at times has not recognized those situations. And at the NFL level, I feel like they should be able to recognize Ronnie Stanley's not able to block him, or Patrick McCarry's not able to block him, or they're beating us with this stunt. I'm going to remove the possibility for that to happen by calling another play. I'm not saying it has to be a run play, but something else to avoid more pressure being put on Lamar, which I felt it was too much today. That interception by Lamar late in the second quarter allowed the Browns to another chance to close the distance. Thankfully, we got some big plays but I think it kind of skewed our own perspective on what today's game was. We did end up, I believe, 6.1 yards per play on the day. Not sure why the stats aren't flowing there. We did end up at 6.1 yards per play today. I think that is a little misleading. We had the 40-yard touchdown to OBJ, 39-yard touchdown run, Keaton Mitchell. You can look at 80% of the plays we ran today, maybe 70, somewhere in that area, and say the Browns had answers for what we were doing. 306 yards total on 10 drives, only 106 yards rushing on 24 carries. Again, one of those was a 39-yarder by Keaton Mitchell. If you take that away, which it still counts, obviously, you're talking about 23 carries for, I think, 67 yards, 66 yards, something like that. Less than 3 per carry. We were not able to do things effectively against the Browns that we have been against other teams, and you have to give them credit. Let's do it this way. If you don't like me talking about the overall stats and subtracting Keaton Mitchell's run and OBJ's pass and just offering to you that 70 to 80% of our plays were relatively ineffective and defended very well by the Browns, and in some cases defended well by their backups, in fact. We go 8 plays, 56 yards to take a 17-3 lead on a field goal by Tucker. Then from there on out, here's our possessions. 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. You have the completely mismanaged situation on the blocked field goal at the end of the half. It's 17-6, we're up. A field goal puts us up 20-6, and I'm going to be real specific about my complaint with Todd Monken and Harbaugh, because I talked about Lamar already with the poor decision, I think, to throw it to Zay Flowers on the 3rd and 6, incomplete even though Zay Flowers is open. He's just not hitting those throws right now. Back to this situation. It's a 2nd and 4. We've just ran for 6 yards with Gus. We're at the Browns' 25-yard line. I believe 2.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes left in the half. Field goal puts us up 20-6. A touchdown puts us up 24-6. We go reverse to Keaton Mitchell on 2nd and 4. I don't know how an NFL defense couldn't identify him lined up at receiver to our left and be able to account for that play. I thought what I thought was coming when I saw him move, I thought it was going to be a fake reverse to Keaton Mitchell. Use him as a decoy. We don't appear to be thinking at that level as an offensive staff. We just don't. I don't really have anything good to say about that or a way to sell to you that it's a positive thing. We end up taking a sack on the next play, puts us out of field goal range, and punting the football. Browns did get to 17-9. Then we throw the interception I've talked about with Lamar. A minute left in the second quarter, and we're fortunate that we stop a Hail Mary attempt. It looked to me like Geno Stone is running onto the football, and Kyle Hamilton basically gets a pass defensed. It's not really funny at this point. Basically gets a pass defense for not allowing Geno Stone to get another interception. Of course, I don't think he did it intentionally. At the point where we go up 24-9 on OBJ's beating man coverage, I felt really good. It's like, oh, man, this is wonderful. We needed that because their defense is surging. We eventually are up 24-17. The punt, Prochet fumbles, takes us, I think, 9-10 plays to score from their 12. To me, right now, I don't see any appreciable difference in this, and you're not really going to like this. I don't really see any appreciable difference between this team right now and where we were a year ago. And I know that some of you are not going to enjoy that statement, and you're certainly going to disagree. Not necessarily at this time, because a year ago, week 10, 2022, we were all on a bye. And we were coming off 2 straight road wins over the Bucs and the Saints. But think about what happened next after that bye. The disappointing win at home against the Panthers after the bye, 13-3. Offense looked bad. Lamar threw the ball great, I thought, that week. The debacle in Jacksonville on the road the ensuing week. We barely beat the Broncos at home 10-9. Then we blow games to the Browns and Steelers in the final 4 weeks. Is it really that difficult to imagine that we're going to be sitting here week 17, 18, talking about the same issues with this team? I don't know about you, but I feel like we can predict the last, really the last 8 weeks of the season, 7 weeks of the season now. We're going to play really well for large stretches of games. We're going to lose games at the end. Now, you would say, Coach, you sound like you're saying we deserve to win today. I do not think we did. I think we are a different offense schematically than we were last season, and a win against the Bengals on Thursday Night Football would recover some of this lost ground, for me at least, and I'm sure for you. But the losses of Ronnie Stanley and Marlon Humphrey appear to be really serious, and it's tough to see how we handle those two being out for extended periods of time, or God forbid, the whole season. Let's talk about the defense some, because I think we have to. I understand if you don't want to listen to a recap of this game and talking about how well Deshaun played, probably doesn't sound like fun, but it's a reality. Every single possession the Browns had against our defense after going down 17-3 was productive. You got the Hail Mary to end the second quarter, and you would say, well, that wasn't productive. It's a low percentage opportunity. I agree. But Watson's ability to scramble seemed to wear our defense out. I thought our defense was tired mid-third quarter. To me, they looked like they were gassed. Having to play defense for longer periods of time on each snap, I think, plays a factor. That's what Lamar does to other teams. Today, Deshaun Watson did that to us. I think he was 14 of 14 throwing in the second half. Here's their other possessions. 12 plays, 70 yards, field goal. Another field goal after the blocked kick to close the 17-9 at the half. The Hail Mary, like I said. Second half, he's 14 of 14 passing. And here's their drives. 17 plays, a touchdown to get within 24-17. Watson converted 3 third downs on that drive. We go up 31-17. Then Watson gets the football. He finds Amari Cooper for 25 on the right hash, like a deep curl or a comeback. And Njoku for 23 yards. Njoku looked like he was a monster today. We had difficulty tackling him. We get the DPI on Rock Ya-Sin on the ball to Cedric Tillman. That ball looks like it's way out of bounds to me, but I don't know, how they interpret the rules, catchable, uncatchable. Maybe it doesn't matter. I thought it didn't matter on a defensive hold, but it does on a pass interference. But in any case, Watson scrambles again. It looks like he's going to run and then finds Elijah Moore to get a touchdown to get to 31-24. And the pick six that their defensive end, 54, deflected. I mean, they can't blame Lamar for that one. Newsome returns it for a touchdown. Missed extra point. We're still up 31-30, but that lead was tenuous and really on the scoreboard only. At that point, I felt like the Browns were absolutely in control. We get nothing done on the ensuing possession. Had that weird delay penalty where Zadarius Smith goes down after the play. And not necessarily just Lamar, but I'm sure multiple guys thought that the play clock was going to be reset because you got an injured player down on the field. Didn't happen. So we turned a 3rd and 9 into a 3rd and 11, or 3rd and 14, excuse me. We had converted a 3rd and 11 there to Zay Flowers, but the run game wasn't working. It's very easy for us to say run the ball, and I'm one of those guys. I think we should run the ball more at times, particularly when we're down there, possibly in field goal range. But we had 3 separate 1st and 10 plays in the 3rd and 4th quarter where we run the football with Gus and we get 2 yards. I think it was 3 separate carries for a total of 6 yards. Maybe it was 2 carries for 4 yards. But in any case, look, we couldn't run the ball consistently against this team. When Lamar got loose on the option, it was an 8-yard gain. We couldn't pass pro him at all. Their 5-1 look with man free literally broke our offense and left us with very few options. We found OBJ on the 40-yard touchdown for a slant. In between those big plays, they were all over us. I think the stats bear this out. We had 17 first downs. Lamar's 13 of 23 passing. Our 106 yards on the ground, I think, is somewhat misleading. They finished with 178. To me, what the Browns did offensively looks like a lot like what the Colts did offensively, and even going back to the preseason, the Eagles. A lot of 11 personnel stuff. I'm not sure that I really have time to go back and look at that this week, but I might see how similar the attack was and if Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt changed some of the things they do. Browns have changed the dynamic of the season in the AFC North. They have. The loser of this week's Thursday Night Football game between the Ravens and the Bengals, man, they're in an extremely difficult spot. We hope it ain't us. I'm not sure there's really a way to finagle this Ravens team feeling positive about them today. Even if the kicker misses today for the Browns, and we're, obviously we would feel great about being 8-2. I wouldn't feel great about the way we played. I don't think we look like a team that plays 4 quarters once again. Today, it looked like we damn near played like a quarter and a half. Conceptually, I would say the Browns outcoached us, and I think in a lot of ways our boundary side coverage is getting exposed. Can't quantify that with specific plays other than Njoku to the boundary seemed to give us real problems. Look, the athleticism of Watson played a big role. If it was a lesser talented athlete back there at quarterback today, in terms of size, speed, and escapability, we probably end up with 6 sacks instead of just 4. So credit to him and the Browns for making it happen. Look, on the road, down their starting offensive tackle, 2 offensive tackles, trailing by 14, 3 separate times. They look like the better team today, to me, at least. You may disagree. If we played them next week, I would have a hard time saying to you, I think the Ravens win 7 out of 10 games. This looks like an AFC North situation where if these teams play 4 times, they split 2 and 2. Same with the Steelers and same with the Bengals in most years. Ravens got to figure out a way to sweep the Bengals and hopefully split with the Steelers. Otherwise, if you look at the remaining schedule, we're in a whole heap of trouble. My last point is going to harken back to something I've mentioned many times in video format. Field goals matter. And there'll be people who say, well, no, touchdowns matter because you got to outscore people in this day and age. Well, if we had 3 more points, we probably win the game or we have a better opportunity. If we have 6 more points, we probably win the game or have a great opportunity. Play calling once we cross midfield, in my opinion, tends to be oblivious to the fact that field goals matter. And I don't see that changing. I've given up on that dynamic changing at all. We've done these things for over 2 years now or more. I can name you games where we wasted points early on, left points on the board because of play calls and decisions on 2nd and 8, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6 in the area where we're almost in field goal range but not yet, or maybe we could try a long 53-yarder. And some of these situations are on Lamar. And we ended up either punting or attempting a 53, 54-yarder that could have been 48. Here's 3. Buffalo playoffs 2020 on the road. We looked fantastic early on. And I thought our play calling, once we got down to the 40, between the 40 and the 36, somewhere around that area, our play calling was horrible, and we ended up getting backed up twice. The Dolphins in 2021, the Thursday Night Football game, the game that really changed a lot about the dynamic of how teams defend Lamar. Additionally, the early in the Vikings game 2021, and then the last one, I'll give you 4, on the road against the Giants 2022, Week 6. 2 situations, play calls down there, in my opinion, are poor and or Lamar makes a decision that ends up backfiring. I think play calls tend to be too risky in that area at times when we're in the lead, like we were today. When 3 more points matters and just adds on and makes the deficit, the mountain higher for the opposing team to climb when they're trying to come back. Especially when you throw in that you're playing against solid or great defenses. And then the 3rd and 7 today, late second quarter, where Lamar throws incomplete deep to Flowers on the 3rd and 7, and we just can't connect. We've just missed a lot of those throws this year. We have. Whoever's fault it is, Lamar's the common denominator, but it may not always be him. Who knows? But in any case, combine those decisions by our coaches, the missed opportunities on that deep ball there, and our defense's inability to get stops, the Browns' ability to get pressure on Lamar, Watson's near perfect second half. I got him at 14 for 14. Perhaps that's incorrect. It's just too much to overcome, even though we had the lead for the entire game except for the last 3 or 4 seconds. I think we already lost the football game by playing losing football as coaches and players, oftentimes on both sides of the ball, and that's difficult to say because our defense had come in with all the answers, and today they had none. I appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the reaction video. If you lasted this long, I appreciate it. I understand that my tone is negative, but I think it should be. Because if you're honestly looking at the game, this didn't look like a game that the Ravens deserved to win pretty much after the first quarter and a half. Appreciate you guys' time.